You're listening to the Extreme G podcast, where we talk about all things Star Citizen with a focus on racing in the verse.
First, a big welcome and 07 to our live audience. If you are listening or watching this after the fact, we hope that you were able to do so via your favorite station. All episodes of XGP are available on all major podcasting platforms for you to listen to whenever you'd like. Hello and welcome to XGP episode number 2. I'm so excited to be here. First episode of XGP was awesome, and this one sets out to be even cooler because the Stanton Cup has launched. Osashas, how excited are you?
Oh, I'm stoked to get into this, man. We finally have a little bit more to talk about. We got some recap stuff. We got some preview stuff of round 2. We've got all sorts of stuff going on, so this is exciting.
Oh yeah, man, because the first episode we really focused on kind of explaining who we are and what we do, and even since then, because that was a couple of weeks ago, so much has happened.
Absolutely. We not only got one weekend of Cup, we actually got 2 weekends of Cup. For anybody that was there will know. So
yes,
lots to talk about.
Yes, we do. I want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to everybody already here. We see Euro Trucker, Zollner, Strauss is here. It's so good to see you. I'm so happy that you're back again to come and chat with us. And hope you keep on joining us and chatting along. Speedweed is here, 07. I see Night as well. I see Luigi, our race director. And it's good to see you all. Dude, where do we kick off this incredible week?
Oh, man. I think probably best. Let's just quickly dive back into the XGR XGP really quick, just for any new people that will be either live right now or listening to the podcast after.
That's a good
and then
one.
We'll dig into the meat of everything.
Speedweed says you should have brought a jacket. It does look rather cold out there on Microtech behind you.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah,
I'm from the high des. We're used to this.
You're used to it. That's right. And it's actually, we're in the middle of summer here, or what am I saying? We're just entering summer, and it is starting to warm up. But yeah, for those that don't know, who are we? What is XGR? What is XGP? What are we all about? How long have we been around? Do you want to give everybody a little bit of a recap?
Yeah. So XGR first. XGR is where this started from. Obviously, we're kind of a group of elite refugees. Came over here, about a year ago.
Yeah.
Started up a racing scene over here because nothing quite like we wanted existed. And here we are today in the meat of a big year-long championship at the Stanton Cup.
Yeah, that's right, man. So what about XGP? I mean, it's such a cliche, this logo, Extreme G podcast.
I'd like to say it was clever, but it was probably just like minimum viable effort required.
I like it. It looks so good, man. It looks so good. Yeah. We even talked about doing PvP stuff in the past, haven't we? And that could just be XG PvP. Like, we can do anything with that logo. It's great.
XGXX.
There you go. Oh, wow. Where are we going with this? I don't want to be involved. Anyway, yeah, man, for everybody listening or watching, if you're a first timer, welcome. You should probably listen to episode 1 of XGP. It's the first time that Osashis and I are doing a podcast together, and it's been very cool to be able to talk about Star Citizen and Star Citizen racing and all the things that have happened since 3.13 to 3.14. And then again, we saw all those flight changes going into 3.17. And we talked about all that in episode 1. So definitely check that one out if you haven't yet. And I think this week we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about, like you mentioned, the Stanton Cup.
Absolutely.
I don't even know where to start with it. Yeah.
Oh, probably the first weekend. We can get right into that. What went down? Maybe how the weekend went?
Yeah, before we go into exactly the weekend and maybe people don't know how it works, because we of course spend all that time doing individual races, to develop tracks so that we could have a cup. And now we had our first race. But what does a race weekend look like for XGR Stanton Cup?
Hot topic, right? So
is
the outside looking in, it's a little bit complex, but I think people are already starting to get used to it after one round.
Yeah, I agree.
Basically, we start a race day with a number of heat races based on the amount of racers. With the amount of crazy support we've had, the amount of people we've had signing up, it goes to the max amount of heat races that we will do, which is 10 heats.
I still can't believe that. I still can't believe that we had
absolutely nuts.
What was it? In the end, it was over 40 racers on a tiny track. Damn, the chaos. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, all good. So we go through those 10 heat races, right, in sequence, and the winner of each of those heat races sits out. And so if they won that heat race, they sit out for all the rest of them, and that means that they're going to get a front row starting position in the main events that are later on, as well as an extra championship point, an extra cup point, as we call it. Unless you win the first heat race, right, where everybody is still racing, there's nobody sitting out. It's the most competitive of the heat races, and then you get 2 cup points.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's been amazing. We didn't quite know what to expect, especially with this being practically the first time we went ship racing with the network improvements that wasn't just going through the river as we had been with relatively slow auroras. So it was really interesting seeing that. Now for the first part of our event, we were forced to do it on, of all places, an Australian server because we had some Invictus free fly chaos going on, let's say. Throwing a spanner in the works, and in the end, Luigi, our race director, making do with what we were given and really jumping through a lot of hoops to be able to get into a server to begin with. But it still kind of worked, right? I mean, we raced in close proximity, and if we had done that in, let's say, 316 or 314 or whatever, that would have been a whole different experience because there would have been like 500, 600, 700 meters between where one person saw the person versus how the other person saw it. And that's not the case anymore, even when we're all going on 200 plus ping.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, even on an Australian server and even during free fly week, right, when the servers are just absolutely hammered and it's at its worst, it was still light years better than it has been for us.
Right. So yeah, we did the heats, of course, and then we did something that we hadn't anticipated. We cut the event in 2 because traditionally we do the heat qualifiers and then we go straight into the main races, and you have this one spectacular day full of racing, like 6-7 hours. But we couldn't do that because, well, the server shit the bed, right? So we all got kicked out. Yeah. We couldn't get back in, and that was that. And we kind of moved the second part of it, the main events, to the second day. But before that happened, and this is so cool because CIG has been helping us with prizes. We gave away a Razer LX, didn't we, to a very lucky audience member. It was the optical mouse. And they gave the Razer LX to Tint, which is actually a racer, which is really cool. The prizes weren't necessarily meant for the racers, but you know, they end up landing in the hands of a racer one way or another. And then what happened? We cut the day in half. We went next Saturday and we continued, right?
Yeah. So anybody that's played during free fly weeks, you'll know how hard it is just to play. So imagine trying to organize a 40 plus player event. I mean, crap went down, and the reason that we ended up having to call it was literally all the backend services died. So right on the status page and everything. So it was no chance. We tried to wait around for like an hour, right, to see if everything came up, but it didn't. So we had to push it back. So the following Saturday, typically we would have started right at our main events, right? That would have kind of been our intermission. That usually would have been an hour or 2, but instead was a week. Yeah. We decided to do one extra bonus heat event just for this event. Not giving any bonus points, not getting any front row positions, but just to try to take care of some of the racers who were signed up, should have been able to be there, but had some major issues and weren't able to actually join with us due to the Invictus issue. Yeah.
One good example of that is Bear Commando. Bear Commando always drawing the shortest straw, and doing so as well on the first half of the race day. Not being able to join at all, I believe, and really struggling to get in, having tried a character reset. The character resets were extended. I understand Zollner as well. Appreciated the extra shot. Yep. So it was really good. I'm really happy that we did it. And I'm also happy that we didn't award extra points, because if you look at the cup, right, there are a total number of points that one can win. And you kind of want to mess with that as little as possible and leave that pool of points alone as much as you could. So it was a good way, I think, to add just one extra qualifier and have like minimal impact from the qualifying heats.
Yeah, from the outside looking in, it kind of looks a little chaotic the way that we've structured this, but it's honestly not that chaotic, and it's honestly based on a lot of real world championship scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Points breakdowns, the style, the 3-man event, stuff like that. This isn't just necessarily something we whipped up out of thin air, right? There's some real world racing that uses this as examples. Right?
So main event 3 came, we had the 3 main events come up, and this is where the main points were being given away, and racers could win prizes. Again, sponsored by CIG. These guys have been amazing. And I should add, by the way, that because we were forced to split the event in 2, they gave us an extra Razor LX as an audience prize to give away. How cool is that they do that? It's just amazing. I love that so much.
So awesome. Can't say enough about how awesome CIG is. We'll actually get into a little bit of that.
Oh yeah,
later too,
we got
really
enough to talk about. I know. Oh, it's gonna be exciting. So we had 3 prizes. We had an M50 for the racers specifically. We had an M50, we had a 350R, and we had the Razor. And we were giving these away in order of preference. So the first place finisher could have the pick of 3. Second place finisher could have the pick of 2, and then our third place finisher had scraps, let's say. But 3 amazing ships anyway. I mean, M50, 350R, Razor. These are 3 amazing ships, and I would have loved winning any 3 of these, regardless.
Oh, absolutely. These are the racers. These are the ships that all racers want to have, like every single one, so they can use for different things.
Yeah,
so even if somebody already had one of these, now you have it as a pledge. So next time there's a wipe, guess what? You already got it. Kind of thing. So great.
So just for anybody unfamiliar, here on the Extreme G Racing Twitch, we do 2 things. We do race hosting and we do talking. Today we're talking, no racing, but we will be looking at a lot of racing, and we will be talking about the upcoming racing. So do stick with us. But if you're looking for racing specifically, we will be racing on the 25th of June. That will be the round 2 of the Stanton Cup.
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. Tell me, do you own pledge-wise an M50, 350R, or a Razor?
M50, yes, that I won. But
yeah, you won the M50 with the cup. Yeah, that's right. I don't own any. What a racing pleb, huh? I don't own any of these ships.
Terrible.
I know.
Terrible.
I don't even have an M50 or a 350R in game right now. Just a Razor and a P72. But that's the thing. I do own the P72, which I picked up during IAE it's like $25. I mean, how can you not?
Yeah.
P72.
I'm an idiot for missing that.
Yeah, I would say, unfortunately, the best 0G racer, 20-second reclaim timer. I mean, that's all you can ask for as a racer. I mean, no quantum drive, but who needs one anyway?
That's the nicest thing, the 20-second reclaim time, because everybody knows racers eat the dirt every 5 seconds. So that's the way it goes.
Anyway, we went racing, Stanton Cup, 3 main events, because the main events are split up in 3, and you got to do well in 3 events to win for the day. And we saw some crazy differences. Can you talk us through the scores and kind of like a quick overview or summary of who stood out to you and who you were surprised about, who didn't show up, who did show up, who crashed out early, that sort of stuff. And then in that meantime, I'm going to very quickly grab some of the scores to show on screen how everybody did for the 3 main events.
Yeah, so I'm going to make him mad at me again, but sorry, Neo. The biggest surprise for me on both days was, for Heat 1 on the first weekend, we had NeoJet come out of the gate like a bat out of hell and win the first heat, right? So win 2 cup points. And then we got to main event days, and the first main event, Neo comes rolling out again and wins the first main event. So
he did, didn't he?
Huge surprise for me there. That's awesome. Obviously, Neo's been putting in the work, so big congrats to him.
Yeah.
Some of the surprises for me were some of the guys that we had unfortunate DNFs. So I was looking for a lot from some guys like Splen. Unfortunately, had some bad luck, but still ended up with a pretty good day.
Yeah, that's right.
Val Grumby actually won main event 3 and was really impressive to me all day. definitely had the pace.
Mm-hmm.
Speedweed, another one that really quick speed, but he unfortunately had quite a few accidents during the day, so that kind of hindered his overall result.
Let me ask you this in the meantime. When you talk about all these crashes and stuff like that, did the events go as you expected in terms of collisions and having to pace yourself and the lines that racers took and some of the inevitability of crashes and not being in control of all that? Did it go as you expected? Did people behave the way you expected?
This might sound weird to some of the racers, but it actually went better than I expected in terms of DNFs. Less people blew up than I thought they would. And actually, when we went and looked at a lot of the guys that were actually DNFing out, quite often it was just self-made mistakes.
Right.
People having issues around specific obstacles and just catching an edge. There were obviously collisions and unfortunate incidents that happened there, but there were a lot of just accidents at people trying to really push a high pace.
Yeah, I'm very 50-50 myself, having looked at all the onboards, and we're going to do that together in a minute. You see, like you said, a whole bunch of people not driving efficient lines and kind of putting themselves in a place where you're going to end up collecting someone or you're going to get collected, and having it be avoidable. But then also you saw people blow up and it came from behind and you weren't necessarily in control. Then still, I think, is there something you could have done to not be in that position where you could have been butt fucked? But yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm sure we've got some cool onboards. Main event 1 on screen. You already mentioned it. NeoJet is the winner there. How cool though, winning heat number 1 and winning main event number 1 on the round 1 of the Stanton Cup. NeoJet, I think, should be
of
very
round
proud.
1 of the first major championship.
Yeah.
All of the ones on the board.
Yeah.
The only thing he didn't bag is the overall, which we'll talk about in a minute. But
yeah, exactly.
Great job to Neo.
Vil Grumby, coming from Elite, very happy to see him there as well. He's been a bit stealthy. He joined us relatively late, I want to say, in our XGR endeavor. And it's just really, I love it because I'm in the Discord where he is with, help me remember the name. I'm feeling terrible now.
Newton's Gambit.
Newton's Gambit. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, exactly. Newton's Gambit. He's the part of their crew. And that's all about FA off, flight assist off, Elite Dangerous, hooning and stuff like that. And I'm just so happy to see him come and join us for fun and actually really enjoying it too. And then on top of that, doing really good. So yeah, definitely very pleased. Should I jump into main event 2? We can see how everybody did there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see if I can make this work. There we go. Sharkbait. There he is. Winning heat number 2.
Yeah.
Very pleased about that. I remember how much he practiced, and I'm gonna say it. Looking at the onboards and having a good look at everybody, I think he put down the most consistent performance overall in terms of how he took his lines, how he turned through them, how he did a little bit, maybe not enough. He says that himself. A little bit of collision avoidance. But yeah, well-deserved win for him, I say. And Splend in second. How good is that?
Yeah. Splend, outside of that major issue in main 1, was very consistent for the other 2. Splend, I think, on one of these, I may be mistaken too, was main event 2 or 3, I believe, had some damage and kind of had to limp it across as well too.
Uh-huh. So. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It was... Let's see, where's Data Machine here? Data Machine is in 9th. Data Machine, I think, got tagged in main event 2 and spent the entire track going across, limping, and even getting a smack, an incredible smack from Sharkbait, where you'd be surprised that Data Machine was able to continue after that still. But well impressive results. So heading for... let's see here, main event number 3.
Another really quick 2 there on in 3rd as well on a podium for this. Frankie Says Attack, which is also another newcomer to XGR. Really impressed me on the day as well too. Had a lot of speed.
Hell yeah.
And then of course Watermelon, the fan favorite, just missing out on the podium. I remember.
I don't want to talk about Watermelon. We can't talk about Watermelon. If they're not going to put their onboard on, no talking about Watermelon. I'm still disappointed we're not getting an onboard. Yeah. Shame. Exactly. Yeah, Tint's up there. And for everybody that don't know the scores, keep an eye on Diplomat. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
All right, I gotta find a better way to do this. Where are we? There we go. Main event number 3. Vale Grumpy winning it. They'll tell you they're very, very happy with that result. They got knocked out at the start of main event 3. We've got that on the onboards as well. We'll look at that in a second. And they fought their way back hard. Getting lucky, though, because we see an early collision by Straws, I think, got blown up. Speed got blown up. Who else? So we lose another one. We're gonna go over it in a second with video footage, which will help. It'll make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't see Shark in there too, so I think we lost Shark early in this one as well.
Mm-hmm. And then here are the overall results. Who would have guessed? I think he came out of nowhere and surprised everybody. Diplomat.
And was actually one of those that had to make it in through the bonus heat race at the beginning of the day.
That's
on the
right.
second week.
That's right. So explain to people that aren't familiar, how the hell did Diplomat manage to win round 1 of the Stanton Cup?
Yeah. So this is part of that battle of attrition thing, right? And just kind of a little bit of a lack of consistency from folks at first, right? Some of it may or may not have been their fault, right? Crashes,
of course.
Diplomat just put in consistent finishes through all 3 mains up near the top, right? But nothing insane, but it was just consistent, never had a big DNF. Whereas all of our other primary podium candidates and winners had either 1 or 2 other main events that ended up pretty horrendously for them. So that's how this worked out.
Main event 1 coming in 4th position, main event 2 coming in 6th, and main event 3 coming in 5th position. But the only reason that he won then was because the top 4 was always different. There wasn't one consistent finisher, because as soon as there was anybody consistent in 4th or 3rd place, he wouldn't have won. He just wouldn't have. Yeah. And I think that it surprised people a little bit initially in terms of how he was able to walk away with the win.
For sure. I think a lot of this will be a little different as we move on, right? Folks are going to learn a little bit better about how this works. Good strategies, racing probably a little bit smarter, trying to avoid collisions, because getting especially an early DNF, right? You DNF lap 1 and you're getting max points out of these. That's really detrimental to your overall day. The bright side, the one bright side of this is you have 2 more other main events that you can kind of make up, right? Whereas if this was just a one and done race and you DNF turn 1, you're getting nothing. You got no chance to redeem yourself, right? Exactly. If we had somebody, I did the math on one of those. It's like if you went like 1 DNF 2 or 1 DNF 3, you'd be fighting for like 1st or 2nd on the podium, right? So you can still make mistakes, but you can claw your way back. But you got to have some good consistent results in there to kind of make up for those issues.
Exactly. I said it. I think people were really surprised, but I think then when they thought about it, it kind of made sense. And it's going to be that balance now between how hard do you push and how careful are you to make sure that you finish, because someone that's careful is not going to win a race, and it's not how you win championships either. And this is the case in any real life racing just as much. If you're just going to be careful, you might win a race, but you're not going to win the cup. But if you're just going to go full out, like mayhem, be crazy, you are at high risk of blowing up. So there is a large chance or a big risk of not making it. So it's that balance between the two. And then we add on top of that the difference between atmospheric races and 0G races, where everything again changes, which we'll talk about in a minute with Kovalex. People have a lot of adaptation to do. But this is so cool, isn't it? How we had these individual races, people were starting to get familiar with how that worked. And now there are so many extra dynamics in play that confuse everybody in terms of how to adapt, how to overcome these things, and how to adjust your approach, if you will. Isn't it amazing?
Oh, I love it. I mean, like I said, this is probably going to be a little bit of a learning experience for a lot of people. We probably have racers that haven't raced like a championship format, before. That's just part of it. So it's a learning experience. A lot of it is about racing very smart. Yeah. Taking wins when wins are presented to you, but also knowing when to hold back a little bit and race smart to avoid a big collision or a big incident, right? So there's a lot going on in play here. It's not only just talent and skill and speed. There's a lot of smarts and good decision making that comes into trying to win a championship.
So tell me two people that really surprised you looking at the overall Cup standings positively and negatively, or on the high end and the low end at least. I can go first. I think, of course, it surprises me that Diplomat is up there. He's a careful runner. We can look at Crux Cup and he went in the not Crux class and he does really well. And he's an amazing, I think, one of the fastest ground racers. But he does play keyboard mouse. So to see him do this well on the Cup surprises me, which is only a good thing. And I hope he keeps it up. On the other spectrum, the other side of the spectrum, where's Sader? 19th. Now, I know if I'll ask him, he's going to tell me that he had all these collisions that weren't his fault. But nonetheless, it surprises me to see him that low on the list. Sader being so incredibly fast across Snake Pit when we were doing the Pro-Am races, in the previous year. And there he is with 4 points in 19th place.
Yep. I think for me, since I already said Neo, I'll go somebody else. For me,
Yeah.
a really exciting positive one was Bell, like we'd already mentioned, coming from Elite, having that background, and he really hasn't been a Star Citizen that long. So translating this into this good of results with the limited seat time he has in Star Citizen, really impressive. Disappointment for me that I'm sure it's just they had a really bad day would be Strazik. I expected Strazik to be up there near the top, and probably just had some unfortunate DNFs throughout the day that really hindered his overall.
Yeah, very true. And Strauss picking the Razor, and I think it's safe to say, if I can speak for him, that the Razor is his favorite ship. And with a track like the ArcCorp Club track, yeah, that's where you'll be in your element the most. Another special mention, maybe Splen, and Fused also is mentioning it. Splen very much riding the middle of the pack, or almost to the top there. I think, if I analyze the footage, there was a lot of being careful. There was one, I don't know if it was main event 1, 2, or 3, but there was an issue where Shark blacked out. He wasn't sure if it was the last lap or not. And Shark in first place merged with Splen in second. Do you remember that?
Yep.
I spoke with Splen about this. What a class act. He held back. He did not overtake Shark because he was aware of the confusion, and he rode it out in second while he had crew telling him, dude, fuck it, just go for it. No. He did the gentleman thing to do, and he stayed behind Shark. I thought that was awesome. I didn't know it at first. Yeah. I didn't know he was actually holding back, but he did. I think that was really cool.
If I was Splen, I would be very satisfied. This is a really good round 1 result. There's an old saying that you can't win a championship on the first round, but you can lose a championship. Like having just a consistent result that you can build off of, that's not going to set you too far behind in the points. That's as great as you can ask for a first day. Use it as a learning experience and then move on to the next and apply what you learned about that specific championship as you move forward. So that's a great finish.
It's good to see that there are already some fan groups building. Infused in chat saying he's a Splen fanboy. I love that. Splen's got a good crowd anyway. He's got a whole racing team. He doesn't need any more fans. He's got people. I've mentioned this before. Splen blows up, spawns in a Carrack. Next ship comes being brought in. This dude needs to do nothing. There's no respawn walks. I don't know how he's done it. Must be his good looks.
Gets handed an energy drink and a double dog or
exactly.
A burrito. Good to go.
This dude is the closest to a professional racing team of any of us, I can tell you. I think that's awesome, by the way. I think it's really cool.
Oh, very, very cool. I love it. I love watching Splen streams when I have a chance to, just seeing that interaction. They're always hanging out with his entourage. It's very, very cool.
You know what's the next step, right? It was even mentioned in Star Citizen Live. When we get repairing, there's going to be that repair guy.
Yeah.
You lost a wing? Just repair that wing, get it back on. You don't no need to go back anymore. Just get it repaired. Really
quick, I just noticed Maverick in chat. How did we fail to mention the one awesome 350R racer on the day? Very awesome seeing Maverick launch that 350R off the start every time and just absolutely send it into that first corner compared to the acceleration of the Razors.
I always say it in general, the 350R is such a bigger ship, so it's really easy to see it and film it, and it looks spectacular really quick. Having it then, as you mentioned, dive away from all of those Razors looked absolutely phenomenal. He got in the way a few times in a good way. It's really cool to see Razors trying to find their way around the 350 because it was a little slower as we find out in the end. But definitely very cool to see him out there rocking this, especially the start. So fast off the start, huh?
Absolutely. And even though, you know, he didn't have the greatest day, you know, had some issues, Maverick was like pretty competitive up there in terms of speed. Probably a tick off, and a lot of that I just blame the 350R, but definitely competitive all day long.
You want to look at some onboards?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's fucking do it. All right. So I've got the, and for those that don't know and want to watch this in their own time, we have it on my YouTube channel. We've got the best onboards video that you can watch back, and we'll try and do that for every race. So we've got a recap video. We won't play that here for you, but you can also find that on the YouTube. If you didn't catch the race live, just go to my YouTube. That's Black Maze, and you'll find a round 1 recap for the Stanton Cup. This is an 11-minute video of the best onboards. Let's go into it, and I'll pause it every now and then, and we might talk about, one little bit or the other. So here we go. We got Speedweed with a perfect launch, starting in the front, having Vil in front of him for a minute, but making a really clean getaway. Speed has upped his game quite a bit. I was chasing him through the club track, couldn't keep up with him.
Definitely put it in that practice. Definitely.
Here's Vil getting hit. You'll see later in this video too. Vil and the Waytech turn, not the best friends.
Did not get along.
Not the best friends
at all.
Here's not Steve, but Sharkbait actually. This is Sharkbait off the line, looking at Vil spinning out. And these are in chronological order, by the way, so it's main event 1, 2, and 3 in a row. How epic does it look seeing all these Razors dipping down to VIP parking, huh?
Oh, man. Yeah. And anybody that watches this back too, like with the sound crank, the sound of Razors just ripping by. Absolutely. So cool.
Absolutely. Here's Vil struggling with Waytech. Look at this, man. This is number 1. And I don't know what this is, because Vil is so quick that it's almost like he's got drugs and he's driving drunk, you know, which isn't the case, because we know how the drugs work in Star Citizen, but it looks like that. I think
honestly, some of it might just be nerves, right? Nerves do things like that to you. You know, just feels like you're a little bit, you know, jittery, like on drugs or something.
Yeah. They mentioned that they had performance drops just coming up to Waytech as well, so that won't have helped.
That could do it too, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, here he actually headbutts the antenna. It's so strange watching him stop and then kind of like straight up into it. Anyway, here's Speedweed, too fast through lower crisscross. This happened to me all the time. It's maybe you can explain that a little bit, because it's so hard to appreciate this the complexity of this turn. Maybe you can walk people through it, Osashas. What do you do at this point? You're coming up to Waytech. What are you looking for?
Yeah, so I'm looking for taking kind of a little bit of a wide line in, so that way I'm not cutting out too far, right? So I get kind of a straight shot through the forks coming down, right? And then as you have a straight shot down, you can kind of swoop underneath that little edge that sticks up. The important thing on this is to get enough practice with this specific turn that you can go on fill, because a lot of times during this corner, you don't have sight lines of exactly like what you're trying to target, right? Before you need to do it.
Just paused it. Yeah. Wait for it to catch up. So this is an interesting moment, because if you don't pitch up the way Speed is doing right now, you're going to go wide. Per definition, you will not make the turn. But try and find his TVI right now, his true vector indicator. You're not going to find it. It's because it's between his feet. It's all the way down there. So you've got this combination of having to know how your Razor behaves so that you can anticipate where you're drifting. But then if your speed is imperfect, you also no longer know exactly where you're drifting. Yep. So here you go. We'll continue the video.
So if you're doing this like on a time trial by yourself, right, you can really get in that flow, get the feel. But say you're battling with another racer, or you had a little bump on somebody before, or you had to come in a little weird because you're trying to get around somebody, then it throws that all off, right? So you're trying to go on muscle memory, but you're not lined up quite right. So definitely can add some
I know
difficulty to that obstacle.
It's so true. And this is so important with racing, distraction. I know in this case, there was some confusion with who was in the lead. Diplo is right in front of Speed as well. That will have played a massive factor in anticipating what to do exactly. Yeah, you just end up missing out. Let's continue. We've got a replay again here of Speed, and then we'll get some more. Zollner says they wish that the Razor had a foot window. Dude, that could be set for all racing ships. Here's Numi getting a slap. Look at this. What a bitch slap and a half. Bam!
Ooh.
Running a pretty good line there. Maybe a little wide, but getting slapped in the face by a Razor running a tighter line. Here's Data Machine. Data Machine in second place. Chasing Neojet. This is main event 1. Remember, Neojet won this one. He's right there, the tiny little Razor. And Data is following him. And this is what I don't understand about Data. Just pausing for a second here. I don't understand why he does this. He uses head look, right? And I know for a fact that he uses head look on a webcam. And he tells me it's a little sluggish. There's some latency there. So why in the world are you this bothered about looking where Neojet is? Completely ruining your line. I know you want to have some spatial awareness. It's all good, but there is too much. And I would argue in this sense, you should know where Neo is without necessarily looking at him. Maybe adjust your line, go a little deeper so you don't go into the apexes tight or whatever. But you'll see as he enters this turn and comes out of it, he's so out of whack because of where he was looking. I want to say he's just being too careful.
Yeah, I can kind of give him a pass myself, at least on that. Like trying to see if Neojet's really kind of cut that in tight so he can see what line he can take. But definitely unfortunate that it kind of botched his line a little bit.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. He's so busy looking at Neojet. He's drifting wide, wiggling all the way. I'm only saying this because I've watched plenty of Data Machine's footage, and I know how precise he can be. He is the first one with the Crux Cup to focus as deeply as he did on not losing speed and, you know, going from point to point and stuff like that. So to see him this chaotic, wobbling all over the place, it tells me that he was too focused on Neojet. That's just my 2 cents. I know it's very easy for me to say, but you know.
It leading to that crash seemed like that was a result of some distraction, probably too much distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I get where you're coming from.
Here's a little replay one more time. Yeah, man, he's so focused looking at him. Bam, into the antenna. Hurts.
I mean, you have to remember, you're going so fast in these ships with such tiny room for error on these courses, right? So one little distraction, one little look away for a second and get just a teeny off your line. So that's all it takes.
This is interesting. So with the improvements to network sync, we're seeing ghost collisions, and this is acknowledged by CIG. They're working on it. What this means is that if this is your ship, and you're flying in that direction, you're going forward, just in front of your ship is actually where the server thinks you are. So if you go into a turn, you might end up clipping something with your fake ghost, even though you don't actually hit it. And it also means that if you're drifting, the thing is always towards your vector. So it's if you're going straight forward, it's in front of you. But if you're drifting, it's towards where you're drifting. So with this next shot of Steve, you'll notice that as he drifts, his tail end doesn't actually hit anything. But that little ghost thinks he's just slightly further ahead. And as a result, he loses all of his rear wings. And as we know, the Razor does not fly well in Atmo without rear wings. It flies very stable, but it drifts. It lost all of its aerodynamic planes. How cool is that? Those aerodynamic planes, huh? And if you lose them, the whole thing just changes.
Yeah, it's very cool. We're still showing the R cams right now too. But.
Oh, excuse me. Good heads up. Yeah, no, here I'm trying to be clever. Let's take a look at Vale chasing Canadian Maverick. Check this out. This is where the 350 just looks so beautiful. It really shines, and it's awesome to see Vale chasing them as hard as they are. Here you
Maverick
think they're
would just come in with so much speed into that corner. Is
oh yeah,
funny to watch it. Watch that whale try to get a turn with that much speed coming in.
Yep. This is interesting. Going across start finish. Satyr is slow. Steve hits Satyr and blows him up. No intention there, of course. We accept this with the chaotic racing that is Star Citizen. But next run, same thing happens to Steve. He goes through, someone smacks him up the head, and he blows up. It's like a carbon copy of what he did to Steve. I can't believe that. And here's Strazik. Same thing happens to him that happened to Steve. Lost the rear wings. And look at the drift. Look at the sink. He just can't even complete a turn without the whole tail end. It's like putting plastic wheels on your rear wheels of your car.
Yeah.
There's no traction there.
Feels more like you're trying to control just a sphere rolling through space rather than something with wings that actually wants to behave.
But that's the cool thing, Ty, wouldn't you say? We saw the old ISC video with the aerodynamic planes. Before seeing that the other day, were you aware that they were modeling it to that level of precision?
I was under the assumption that they were, but I had heard otherwise, and I kind of disagreed after what I'm seeing. But like, look at something like this, and that's a perfect case for that. They are modeling them, and you know, at least with unique components in place, right? You lose a wing, that's going to affect it. It's not just one singular kind of thing, right? With some funny numbers in play. Like, there's actually some aerodynamic modeling there that goes away when you lose a component.
I remember having the discussion so often where people were like, there is no lift in Star Citizen. They don't model lift. They do not model lift and drag. There's only your triangle, which is you, and you get slowed down as you maneuver through Atmo. Well, there is an ISC, and I don't remember which one it is, but it actually shows the development, like the under the hood version of what is happening. So take, do you remember what ship they showed in that video?
I don't recall.
I think it was like a Gladius or the other one. Forgive me. The Saber. Arrow, it may have been something like that. A Saber, I think. The cool thing is the Saber has wings, and your actual ship has planes. And with planes, I mean like quads, like square planes that they use to calculate lift and drag. So when your ship is complete, you'll have a square on your left and a square on your right. You'll have two squares on the back as vertical stabilizers, and they're used to calculate based on where the atmosphere is hitting that plane, whether you're experiencing what could be considered drag because it's hitting it in such a way that it just slows your ship down, or it's on the underside, which causes, what is considered lift, or if you're in a turn, it helps you turn tightly instead of really wide. And that's why we see, and we'll see that with the onboards in a second too, when you lose only one side of your wings, everything's out of whack. And this is for ships that don't have thrusters on their wings. So it's all about the aerodynamics. And how amazing is it that they're already controlling that at that level? And how does that set us up for control services?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we're only at the early little clunky, not finished stage. Like imagine how good this is going to get with flight control surfaces. Probably some more iterations to the way that aerodynamics work. Right, it would make sense that if they're going in through and adding flight control, making the flight control surfaces that exist on ships functional and stuff, that they would go through and do a lot more iteration on the actual aerodynamics. So very cool stuff. We
know right now, the devs are confirming in our Discord server that the tuning as we have it now isn't final. If you take an M50, for example, the M50 is going to rely heavily on control surfaces. And while it doesn't have those yet, it is forced to use its maneuvering thrusters, where what they're saying is in the future, their maneuvering thrusters are not going to be the primary control of turning a ship. We're going to dumb all that down, and it's going to be all about control surfaces doing that work for the ship. And that's why the M50 was unstable before. And, with some retuning in 317, it can now turn because the MAFs have been boosted. They're not stronger, but the aerodynamic efficiency has been improved under the hood temporarily. Yeah. Oh man, and I cannot wait. I can't wait to have the experience of using control surfaces. I could talk about that for hours. Hello,
I'm really
Neojet.
Curious how it's gonna play out with the Mavs, right? Like how influential are they going to have that on top of that? Are they going to function more as stabilization at that point? Are they going to be able to push the bounds of what you can do? Because like imagine right now, right? Say like we have a modern fighter jet, right? With flight control surfaces, big jet engine on the back. Imagine if it had Mav strapped all over and what it could do in a hard turn and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're going to see. And
yes.
I can't wait.
Yeah. That is so true. I want to imagine that what we see right now is still the goal, right? The way a Razor maneuvers, they'll want the Razor to maneuver that way, but it's using control surfaces instead of Mavs. But it'll never be the same. And yeah, you're so right. Whenever I play F-22 now, having played Star Citizen, and I'm flying an F-22 or whatever, I'm thinking to myself, dude, I just want a strafe lateral. Just give me a little thrust on the side, let me just lift a little bit. And we don't have that. You're right. And it's going to be different.
I'm the same way with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm over with my left stick, like, where's my verts? Where's my lats? What is going on?
Yeah.
It's trying to yaw way too much. And like, oh,
but that's also a thing. I think right now, atmosphere isn't as effective as it should be. Think about lift, for example, right? If you put your ship at an extreme angle of attack, so pitch up, and you have your vector going, let's say, at a level vector, you don't get the lift you would expect. The air is too thin almost, I want to say. And I think that's the case because otherwise it won't work with Mavs. The Mavs would simply have to be so strong that, just it doesn't balance well, I think. And right now, if we all fly decoupled, and when you're in atmosphere, you are constantly holding strafe up, and that strafe up kind of becomes lift. But it shouldn't necessarily be your strafe up, right? If you're just flying level, it should be actual aerodynamic lift causing that. And so beyond having the control surfaces change things, they're also gonna, I think, have to change a little bit how the air works and affects the ship, the amount.
Yeah, like I said, I think they'll probably iterate on that along with flight control surface. It just makes sense, right? Yeah. If you're going to spend all that time with flight control surfaces and all that system and how the aerodynamics is going to work with that, would make sense that you'd probably iterate and polish and do more with the rest of the system as a whole.
Absolutely. This onboard video is going to take very long. There's Strazik blows up because he lost his wings. So here's main event 2. Let's see. We are looking at Strazik, and he merged. Yeah, this is the painful one where he merges with Vale at VIP parking, and Shark wins it. So check this out, and see if you can tell me who is the instigator in this one. So there's Vale down and to the left, and then we got Strazik and Vale merging. It's so hard to see from this angle, and we do have an external view in the recap video, so do check that out if you haven't seen it yet, because we show you it from 2 different perspectives there from the external camera. Who's at fault here, Ty?
That is what we call a racing incident.
Exactly. That
is not, nobody's at fault. That's just stuff that happens. You're on a tight track with a bunch of other dudes going fast. Accidents happen.
Exactly. And that's, I think we very quickly saw eye to eye on this when coming up with rules and stuff. But it's like, how punishing are you going to be with racers? Are you going to analyze this and determine one guy strafed up too much or the other guy merged too far to the right? Yeah. You can't do that. Not in Star Citizen, not with where we are at, right?
If you had a guy on there that got tagged by somebody in the next race, he's flying backwards trying to punt somebody. Yeah, that's not going to fly. You have a little accident where you bump into each other while you're trying to go fast. Just part of racing, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you.
Is what it is.
So here's, I think this is either Steve or Shark. I messed up their time. Their videos were very similar. We see a couple of explosions there going up to Waytech. Yeah, look at Strauss and Vale, right? They're going to blow up in the left corner of the screen. Here they go. Boom. Here's Data Machine taking a beating off the line. Check out the glowing of his cockpit in just a second. You don't even know what happens. I think there's a whole bunch of server merging there that didn't even happen. Data Machine getting a big punch and a whole punches more. Now all of his wings are like red, but he's not missing any. But his ship is terrible. And this is the one where he's just limping and limping. And watch this stall happen. This is what I mean. Oh, this gets my juices flowing, dude. There he goes. It's a wing stall. And it looks so similar to real world aircraft where you lose lift on one wing. And the fault that some pilots will make is that they try to counter roll it, which just stalls the wing even further because it's already at a loss of lift. And then you add more drag. in the wrong direction. So it stalls even more. Instead, you should be yawing to fix that issue. Of course, we have maps, so that doesn't really matter so much. I use maps, but it's just so cool to see how he's missing some parts on the right side and they end up stalling out, and he just goes into a sort of flat spin. And the only way that he's able to save it are the maps.
Yeah. The funny thing you say that, though, too, in a situation like that, if he boosted and yawed to the left, that would probably bring it right back up in the line, right? It works exactly the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're so right. Cool. Absolutely. Here's a love tap from Shark. Check this out. This one hurts. And I know on Shark's screen, you don't see anything. There's nothing there at all. All right, main event 3. Here we go. Here's a tap for Vil. This is the second time he ends up spinning out of control before Vatek. Waytek. And it's not even his fault. Vatek. Vil Grumby. Vatek.
Oof.
Here's Straws taking the lead.
Those wild spins like that too, when you get completely spun out of control and then you're trying to reorient yourself where you are on the track, where you need to go.
The panic.
Definitely frustrating in the middle of the race. Absolutely.
Yeah, the panic. I want to play this in slow motion real quick. Bear with me here, because I couldn't get over this. Like, Shark is going to pull in front of Straws, and there's a little bit of jittering, sure, but that's, again, as a result of the improved network sync. And the fact that Straws sees Shark in front of him means that Shark is actually in front of him. And that, again, is only because of the improvements. And yeah, dude, I just love it. So here we go. We're playing, and Shark pulls up right side of the screen. There he is. Bam! Right in front of him. And it just looks so incredibly sexy. I love it. Can't get over shots like that.
Absolutely.
So just letting this play out.
Get a beautiful, get a sight of beautiful Area 18 in the evening time, nighttime. Man, I love that. I'm kind of bummed we're done with Club Track, because this has quickly become one of my favorites.
Yeah, you like
away
it.
From it for a long time.
Are you still in the XGR Club Track game versus Shark of Snake Pit?
Yeah, I think just by a hair, just by a freckle.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But then again, I haven't been to Snake Pit in a hot minute, so I bet when I actually go back to Snake Pit and start running laps, and I would be like, oh, I love it so much.
That's what happens, dude. You can't choose.
The way it goes.
They're very different. I think we can love both equal, you know? Oh, look at Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
Right in front there. So good looking. I will tell you, I think it all the time. The 350 just looks like you take a Boeing and you strip the whole thing out, and you've got like a race Boeing. Like a 737 racing ship.
I'll tell you what, watching this and the interpolation of play, even with, a little bit of issues and stuff, I do not want to go back to what we had before. Like when you and I would be in the same place at the same time, but 300 meters ahead of one another on each other's side. And
it's very Elite Dangerous that always was with the whole peer-to-peer thing.
Yeah.
So here Vil, I think, finally gets ahead of the Maverick. Yeah. Check this one out. The 350R pops into view for Data Machine going into VIP or into private parking. Boom! So close. So close. Very sexy shot. Yeah, that's Speedweed chasing Strazek, and we'll stay with Speedweed for a second and come back to him as well, because this was epic, even from a third-person perspective. Speed chasing Strazek for the win in main event 3 was amazing to watch. It's a real shame how it ended. We'll talk about that. But watching the spectacle was so much fun.
Those shots where you have like two guys collide, right? Explode, and then you just go ripping right through the debris field and they explode. Oh, so cool. Here's
Steve being collected after someone else crashed going into lower crisscross. I don't know what happened, but he ended up getting punished. And yeah, Data Machine, man, he got collected so often. He's the case where I was like, damn it, is there anything he could be doing? And in some of these cases, you just can't do anything.
honestly, though, Data played it smart, right? He still ended up with a podium overall on the day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And he had a lot of issues, right? So it was a perfect example of, even if you were having some bad luck and stuff, if you're being really smart about it, trying to work around stuff, you still end up with a pretty dang good result on the day.
Exactly. So here's Speed chasing down Strauss. And I feel for Speed in this one because he did everything right. He is fighting hard for the win. Gotta remember, Strauss in first place, Speed right behind. Doesn't lose his cool. Chasing him down, running his lines the way he would, getting smoke or whatever water vapor it is into his face from Strauss. Strauss throwing the old Mario Kart bananas. And yeah, again,
I heard complaints of that all through the day. People shooting smoke, and he's.
I think it's that the lights light them up. Here it is.
Yeah, I think so.
He comes through Kovalex, and suddenly he doesn't come through Kovalex and blows up. And that one's real unfortunate. Again, this one is also visible in the recap video from a third-person perspective. So watch that if you haven't. And I think I even commented in real life or in real time, sorry, that it looks like he exploded in midair, just in thin air. He just explodes out of nothing. What do you think happened?
Yeah, that's one of the most egregious ones. I think it was just server hiccup on trying to catch up. Because we noticed, at least with me, if I'm playing by myself right out there, I'm out there time trial and nobody's around, I'm not partying with anybody, I don't even notice this. Like, it just doesn't happen to me.
Yeah,
but if
exactly.
I'm in a group and I've got multiple people's clients trying to, push into the server and trying to figure out what's going on, then it seems to be more pronounced.
Mm-hmm. We're quickly watching this in slow motion. And I think it's the interpolation, like you mentioned as well. It's like he goes around let's call it the apex, that corner, the exit corner. And the server will have thought that he went through that corner. Where in reality, like right here, pausing it, the server will take a little hiccup. And then when it catches back up, it thinks, oh, to get from here to there, you went through that wall. And so you blow up. It's a really late one, isn't it?
In my mind, it could have even been that he was drifting out a little bit there too, right? And the server had a little hiccup, and then when it caught up, it said, "Oh no, you drifted too wide there, right?" And I'm catching up. You're naughty boy.
Yeah, sure.
But this kind of depends, yeah.
Very painful anyway for Speed. Very unfortunate.
Absolutely.
And so Strauss in the lead, right? Strauss still leading the race. He is set up for a main event 3 win, and he pulls this. Now, Numinos was in front of him, so I'm going to say it, probably distracted, trying to get around Numinos in a clever way. And then I think what happens in these cases is people lose sight of their TVI. They're so focused on where they don't want to go that they forget where they're going.
And it's just so easy to do too. Even if you're by yourself and not getting distracted, sometimes it's easy to lose your TVI. So
Yep, so true. That is, it is what it is. It's a painful loss, man. In the win, in the lead. Can you believe blowing up in the lead like that? That hurts.
Absolutely.
I feel for these guys. And we're learning a lot, aren't we, in terms of collisions and how it works as racers and as hosts as well. Looking back.
It's not going to be perfect. We're playing in alpha, right? Things are going to happen, but there are definitely things that racers can do to, maximize the chances it's not going to happen to them. But I mean, still, stuff happens.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what's happened. So, there we have the cup standings. Diplomat then takes the lead. Veil Grumby in second. Data Machine did, as you mentioned, take third place. The Neojet, Splen, Wolf up there with Frankie. Canadian Maverick, I think, still did really well for driving the only 350R on the track. So respect and a shout out to Canadian for rocking a 350 as always. Still understand that he means to run the 350 in every race, regardless of where we're going. I haven't looked at his sign up yet, but he's going to have a hard time in Kovalex going through the start finish with a 350R.
I could totally see the 350 in some of the Atmo tracks. I think it might even be choice, but choosing it in vacuum. All right. Let's see it.
Exactly.
See it go on. Be interesting.
Oh, man. It's going to be exciting. So what do you want to talk about next? Kovalex? You wanna talk about Covalex?
Let's talk about a little bit of preview of 2 weekends from now.
Let's do it, man. Oh man, I think the thing I'm most excited for in terms of going to Covalex is the fact that we're changing up the game. People will have felt like, okay, I know what to do now. I know what to expect. I know how to pace myself. I know how this Stanton Cup is gonna go. Boom, we go into 0G, and suddenly everything changes because 0G ain't vacuum or 0G ain't Atmo and Atmo ain't 0G. And
I honestly think we're going to see it play out pretty interestingly, even with collisions and things like that.
How so?
People that aren't as comfortable or, haven't put in the practice, whatever, tend to go wide quite often around corners in vacuum. So I think you're going to end up with some of the guys that are back markers probably taking wider lines than the guys that are in the lead. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, though.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Let's see. We have 21 racers signed up right now. It's about I want to say a 50-50 balance between M50s and P72s. Where does your preference sit?
The little bit of testing I did here the last day or two, I'd have to say if it was me personally, I'd probably still end up going P72. But I don't think it would be like just snap my fingers and I'm going to make up my mind, because the M50 actually still felt pretty dang good. And it honestly feels like it might be a little safer too. Although I don't know that got the same quite top end. But.
Oh man, I find it so hard to choose between the M50 and the P72 because my heart is really at the M50. And I prefer to race the M50 because of its stronger retros. Everyone's going to be sick of hearing me talk about this by now because I say it all the time. But the retros on the M50 are really strong. And it means you can brake while looking at where you're going. Whereas with the P72, it's all about turn and burn. So you're either braking with what's below you or you're braking with what's behind you. So you got to turn around, and it's like it's risk for reward, right? The P72, it might outclass the M50. I still don't have a good answer. But the P72, you need to turn around to brake in most cases. And there's going to be a whole lot of other racers on track. And how are you going to avoid all those? And it turns into a gamble. And in that term, that's really scary for the P72. But then the P72 has headlights and the M50 has almost none. And aiming into that start-finish turn when the sun is behind the planet of Hurston, that's a tough time.
Yep. I think as far as max performance goes, I think that the P72 is, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, right? I don't have any hard numbers to back this up. I think it's got just a tiny edge on this course specifically as far as top speed. The big thing with the M50, though, that is really nice is recovering from mistakes is so much easier in the M50.
Why?
With, like you said, those stronger retros, right?
Right.
If you're trying to make a panicked correction, correction from a mistake, and trying to do that with a turn and burn, that's way more difficult because you're going to be a little bit disoriented. You're trying to figure out where you're going. You don't know where the TVI is necessarily. It's a lot easier to recover from a mistake if you can just hit the brakes, see where you're going, or try to recover that way, right?
What would
those differences?
What would you say is the biggest, I guess I shall say, challenge? What are people going to have to fight the most in a race like this? What are they most busy doing?
Not overspeeding.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I think that shocked most people, because when people came to XGR, most of our races have been atmospheric races, which is hilarious because we've come from Elite, where in Elite, even if you're on a planet, there's no atmosphere because Elite doesn't do atmospheric planets, at least not with real density to them or an affected flight model. So we are quite used to it.
That's probably why it has been, because we were like, we have Atmo now, we love it. So that's why we're racing there all the time.
Exactly. So then coming to XGR, we did a lot of Atmo, and then boom, suddenly we go into space and we go into vacuum and we go into 0G. And I've already talked to a bunch of people who went, oh my God, how do I do this? I have to relearn everything. And yeah, as you said, overspeeding. That's the main thing, because take the M50, main thrust, what is it, 20 Gs boosted or just under maybe? 500
like
meters
that,
in
yeah.
like a second or two, I believe. It's no time, and it typically takes you longer to slow down than it does to speed up, because you're only using retros or strafe up or a little bit of mains, if you turned around and you're doing a turn and burn. But going through those tunnels, I forgot the name. I don't have a track map on here for us. You're gonna have to make that U-turn through the big tunnels, and it's very easy to overspeed there because you're looking for your braking point and you kind of want to turn, but you've got so much crap around you and it is scary. So M50, you can kind of pull on the retros, still looking at where you're going. I think the M50 is sitting at 10 G's retro, and the P72 only just under 6, like 5.8.
Take your word for it. I'm terrible with remembering numbers from nowhere.
It's almost, it's like 2/3 the power on the retros between the P72 and the M50, which is crazy. 25th of June, that's when we're going racing. And it's going to be interesting for us to see how we're going to film this exactly as well. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's something we still got to figure out. Try to get the best show for everybody.
Yeah.
In a big wide open 0G track.
Exactly. I have an onboard video here of a run through the course. Should we just run through that for a second?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's 2 laps. So first lap, I'll give everybody some commentary. We can walk through the track, and then you get another lap of just boom, and we'll just shut up and let you enjoy it. This is me flying through it with the P72. So you will see a lot of slapping my back into it. Again, Splen's the king of rocking the turn and burn in the P72, using lots of head look. You'll see none on me because I don't use head look. So often enough, I don't know where I'm going, but let's go. So what we're looking at right now, actually, let me not make that same mistake. There we go. What we're looking at right now is the start, finish, shoebox, Kovalex cargo container area. And we won't be starting here. The races are going to start up on the next checkpoint, but this is considered the start finish line. So let's go. We'll go and fly through them. So right here, and the lights are going to help a lot because it gets dark really quickly.
Absolutely.
So up to the first checkpoint, and this right here is also the start finish. So right here is where racers are going to be starting. And when it comes to the main events, that means that the front row will start just around this arm, and the overflow is going to start quite a bit back, so that there is a good benefit to having qualified in the front row. We got to remember, we got a lot more space here than we did on the building rooftops of Arcor. So we'll use that space. So going for checkpoint number 2, we go through that arm. I still don't know what they call these pipes, frameworks. We go down, checkpoint number 4, and all this time,
Pentagons.
Pentagons. You'll be
trapezoids.
Whatever. You'll be finding G's. Sometimes you'll want to throw in some lateral to give your vertical G's a break so you don't black out. And then we have here, I want to call it the XGR blue advertisement screen. It's not really XGR, but looks close enough. It's an apex. For time trials, you got to make sure you don't go over. During race day, might be a little hard. The key point here, the key takeaway is it's an apex. You got to go around it. Don't be cutting. If you cut, you're in trouble. So you go around it, you dip down, and you go back into the station.
By underneath, we mean you have to be between the top of the blue and the station, whatever on the station, right? That's the downward.
So Ty,
we made a up and down reverse.
We made a change to the course. Tell everybody about that.
Correct. Yeah. So unfortunately, when Invictus came on, they made some changes to these forks at the bottom, right, to make the Javelin be able to dock there. So they added some, protected zone there. So unfortunately, there was a high risk of having the station shoot at all the racers, have racers sent gel, all that kind of stuff if we were using that. So we had to make a slight adjustment obstacle to roll that out just for the race here. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, in the near future, they'll remove that again so we can go back to racing this track as it was originally designed.
I always think it's a real shame anyway, even not for racing. I want to land on those and walk around. I get it. It's UAE. They don't want you there, but it's such a cool piece of scenery that you just do not get to see. You can't go down there. And we've all experienced it doing Xenothreat, landing on the Javelin there. It's so cool. Is it a javelin? Am I mixing it up again? Probably.
Can't remember.
So here's the new turn. We go underneath the arm, and it's basically just a shortcut. We aimed for simplicity and not overcomplicating the track or really changing the track. There were a bunch of good suggestions that involved, adding different parts, but we opted to just cut parts out and turn early just to keep it as simple as possible. And this is my funnest part. I love this part. We go down to the large racks of cargo containers from Kovalex, and we go into tunnel 1. I end up pinging here quite often because I want to see clearly where I'm going, and the ping helps with that. And this is now, we're about halfway in, and it's kind of too late to brake already. So I'm quite late on the brakes here. So what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to start pitching while in the tunnel so that I can use my strafe up to brake, because that's stronger. With the M50, you could use a little bit more of your retros. So here we go. Right now, see, I'm flying bottom down, and yeah, it's scary as hell. It takes quite a bit of control to steer away from the arms, and then you go into the other one. So now we're into the other arm, and this is where people blow up. This part hurts. Use lots of pings. Your trucker got it right, by the way. It wasn't the Javelin, it was Jericho. This is where it hurts. This is where you want to ping, especially, you can see already there, the half shadow. It gets in the shadow quick and you can't see anything. And you're aiming for the little start finish right there. It's right here. And if you turn late, you're going to get in trouble in the start finish, aren't you?
This is the toughest part for me for the track. Coming out of that last chute with so much speed and like trying to slow down, but sometimes not. If you overshoot that, it not only makes it hard to get down there to the level of the start finish, but it also puts you at a bad angle coming into it, where you could come in and just tap the belly on the bottom, or with a little bit of ghosting, right? Tag it and you're done. So really important.
Here's another lap. I'm going to take a break. Let y'all enjoy this. There's one thing I love about all this, Ty. It's the way they've done the G-force loading, and you hear the breathing. And do you feel like they got it right with the G-force at this point?
I feel like it could probably still use a teeny bit of tuning or something, maybe a little bit more aggressive in certain ways, but it feels really good. Like, best game I've ever played when it comes to G-force blacking out. Like, feels so immersive.
Yeah.
Even though it's frustrating to deal with sometimes as a racer when you're really trying to push a fast lap time.
Let me ask you this then. So you're saying about maybe increasing the, let's say, sensitivity to G-load. You'd be okay with it if we blacked out a little more?
No, just in some of the ways that it comes sometimes. Like sometimes I'll do like a really, really hard turn, but with like a corkscrew roll or something like that, and it feels like I should be getting hit more than I am.
I get it. Yeah.
So I don't know if some of like the roll plus transitional movement is getting counted quite like realistic, right? So it's just like fine tuning. It's not. I don't want it to be like super harder to black out. That would make racing less fun because we'd have to just slow us down, right? But
yes.
Just some things to get maybe tuned.
Yeah, because even if you do R-Corp, right? If you race R-Corp as fast as you'd want, you wouldn't finish the lap. You just wouldn't.
No, yeah. You wouldn't just go send off into the no-fly zone and then probably get autopiloted into a building.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen.
Exactly. I feel like they've got it right. And with getting it right, I don't mean that it's like realistic. I mean that it's fun. It's rule of cool. Splend thinks it could do it a bit more. I get it. You're saying the same. I get it. In Zero G, I think it would make things less fun, but then you do get an extra way to balance ships. You know, if ships can be really strong, but your character can't be, then you've got another limiting factor, which could really help to balance things out. It is a difficult one to
balance. Like
balance.
somebody already said, yeah, you can take some Expanse style shot in the neck and woo, I'm good to go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I
And then have your guys stroke out and then die, you know.
Let me ask you this then. Yeah, as happened to Thingy. What's his name? What would you say about allowing drugs in an XGR race if it enhanced you?
Yeah, I think it would depend on a lot of things, but I wouldn't be instantly against it. I don't know. It'd be
You kind of were. We talked about this before and you didn't like it.
Yeah.
We talked about the G-Force drugs and you didn't like it.
Yeah, my only qualm is it's just like it adds a lot of more stuff going on, right? That maybe isn't necessary, but yeah.
How do you mean? How do you
would
mean?
have to see. Just like you have new racers that aren't going to know, right? So they're going to be even at more of a disadvantage, or you have like dudes trying to between races, like, oh no, 1 second, I need a second because I got to hop out of my ship so I can stab myself with the, stuff like that. So it just adds a little more stuff going on. So, yeah.
I did test that. Do you remember? Do you remember when we were testing it? Oh, that was hilarious. So I was at the ArcCorp track and I took a whole bunch of drugs with me and I said, all right, I'm going to take, what was the drug called again? It was again head trauma.
The like concussion one. Yeah. The head trauma one. I can't remember.
And
Lane or something. I don't know.
People were saying that one helped against drug inducing or against G loading. So I took a shit ton. And first I took enough that it didn't affect me input wise, and it didn't do anything. I just G-loaded as much as I normally did. So then I loaded the whole bar up. I don't remember how that works, but I loaded the whole thing up and I tried to control my ship. And that was quite something because you try to go forward, it goes backwards. You pitch and roll, and it's hilarious to try and counter it because it completely changes every time, and it's really quite fun.
It's like being drunk in Sea of Thieves or something. Just absolute insanity.
I hear you.
Straz is saying Demextrine used to help G-Force during like 316. Yeah, maybe
it changed.
We didn't ever get around to testing it before, recently. So
yeah, there's a big chance it changed. Now, Ty, before I really want to stay on the hype train here for a minute. We listened to something very cool on the latest Star Citizen Live. Meet the community team.
Yeah, it was okay.
When you give me your first reaction when you watched it.
Holy shite, that is freaking awesome.
Oh man. And then how many times did you rewatch it since?
I can't be that hardcore. I think I've only watched it twice or 3 times, but that was within like the first 10 minutes, right? It was like, oh, I gotta watch that again. I gotta go see.
I watched it. Yeah. I must have watched it 6 or 7 or 8 times by now. And I know Speed has watched it quite a few times too. How about we just get into it? Let's watch a small snippet from the latest Star Citizen Live, featuring 3 key characters in terms of being involved with racing. We've got Chris in the bottom middle. We've got the troll or a Xylo in the right top, and of course we've got Jared Huckabee in the middle top.
I love Xylo. I just want to. He looks like somebody I just want to give a big hug to. He's a big teddy bear.
Let's watch this and try not to keep breathing.
Let's see what else do we got here. What features, this is from Shin Sabaki, what features are you looking forward to most?
The one you showed me yesterday, Jake.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about it?
I wouldn't talk about it. Save it for Jared's show. But you can tell him what it is.
Okay.
Munch.
Well, there's that, and then
we're getting there.
It's actually the overhaul of the Moby class. It's starting to coalesce, and it looks phenomenal. I'm very, very excited for you guys to see it.
How about anybody else?
Here it comes. Get ready.
Come on, Christian. What features are you looking forward to? Man?
I want racing tracks in the verse.
That's a hot topic right now. I don't even know if you're aware of that. Yeah, that's such a hot topic right now.
Oh, I saw something. Yeah.
Yeah. There was, without going into too much detail, there was an email from Chris that started it all that turned into a big thread about, I don't want to spoil too much. I'll just say that the idea of having more opportunities to race in the persistent universe has become a very hot topic as of late.
Yep.
Next season of this season ends in June. Then there's a new season that starts at the end of July. Look for maybe mid-August for an update in ISC about something.
So just remember that ISC August-ish. ISC August-ish. Something about something.
Cool.
Yeah. Without touching specifically on that, though, I can harp on the fact that, like, we're not strangers to the fact that the emergent gameplay coming from, you know, groups like XGR and SCR and Atmo Esports is just so incredibly
there it
cool.
Is.
And we all watch it as if it's like the Super Bowl. Every time the events, we have watch parties in our studios. We put it up on the TVs in the boardroom. Like, we love that stuff so much. We want to support it. As y'all know, Daymar Rally, you know, became canon in our lore. There's a lot of discussion about how we can better support those types of groups actually.
Listen to that. First of all, XGR, SCR, Atmo, they're watching our stuff. They're watching our stuff and they're putting it up in the boardroom. This is next level. Like, there's more. But Ty, we set out with a mission when we started this thing to show CIG what we like. To show them what it is that we want to do in the persistent universe, to show them what we want to do with the racing ships. And we put our passion into it, and we didn't know what it was going to be like. We didn't know if there were enough other people that were going to like it too. We didn't know if people were going to be up to it, you know, bringing competitive levels of performance, and it all happened, and we're streaming it live, and they're watching it and they're loving it. And as a result, they're thinking about how to help us do more.
It's just so gratifying. Like, a lot of people don't see all the behind the scenes stuff, right? But not just you and me, but everybody helping with XGR. Lots of people put in so much effort to be able to create these cool events and have these cool racing and do everything we do, and to see racers enjoying it, see some fans watching it, enjoying it, and seeing that CIG enjoys it as well, man. It's just super, super gratifying. So exciting. And XGR number one.
I don't want to go there. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Number one. We are a community of racers, all of us together. We're unified in what we want from the game. We all want the same thing, racing. We all want to bring that shit. But yeah, XGR number one. Anyway, there's more. Let's go.
Much we want to support it. As y'all know, Daymar Rally, you know, became canon in our lore. There's a lot of discussion about how we can better support those types of groups actually in game, providing tools so that rather than, you know, having to place a ship or utilize a random rock as a marker or a checkpoint, that maybe you'll be provided with tools that will allow you to do it in a better way.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love
provided with tools that'll allow you to do it in a better way. Maybe. Confirmed, right? Confirmed. Dude, the contrast of where we come from. I have never seen this kind of exciting dedication, involvement, engagement from a development company like a game development company, and coming from Elite, where everybody got so little. Everybody got so little. There was never any information. It was always vague, small promises. And here we are, listening to a Star Citizen live where a bunch of devs and community team members are talking about things that might happen in the future, and not afraid to get us excited, not afraid of how their community will react when not everything comes out exactly as they, air quotes, promise, because they know how we respond to this. I was talking about this earlier today. They are as excited as we are about this. They are as passionate about Star Citizen as we are. And oh man, I lose my shit every time I hear it. It's just insane to think that even if it isn't immediate help, it is awareness. They're aware of what we want to do. So we know we're thought of when we do these things, and it can only ever get better. It can't ever go downhill with this. That's the beautiful thing about Star Citizen. It's all in development and it goes up, and you've got this exciting team, and dude, I can rant forever.
Absolutely. Like just the fact that we are on, the racing scene is so on the radar, and that, the things that we do, the races that we run, the issues that we have, and then the good things that we enjoy, that has an influence on CIG's decisions going forward. We're actually making a difference. Super, super cool.
So they mentioned 3 groups specifically, right? XGR, that's what we do. We do ship racing primarily. We focus on ship racing in the persistent universe. They mentioned SCR. For those that don't know, Star Citizen Racing, created originally by Diplomat and his brother. And it's a website. So you go to scr.gg. You will find there some really exciting and interesting ways to get involved with racing in the persistent universe, even if you don't feel comfortable coming to a live event, because all the tracks that we design, all of them are on there, and you can run them in your own time. You can watch people their replays. If you're at all familiar with speedrunning, you'll find it very familiar because it works very much in the same way. They mentioned Atmo. They do the Daymar Rally, and it became lore, and it's primarily focused around ground racing. And it's like we've got the whole curriculum now. It's like a package that's being built. We've got the Arena Commander racers. We had DJ Buntin from CIG looking at how they could promote racing in the Arena Commander as well, and getting some new tracks in there. And somewhere something was mentioned about improvements to racing in the Arena Commander. I don't quite recall where it was mentioned, but it's so on their radar, dude, and it is amazing. I can't wait for what's going to come. And together as a whole community, not just us as hosts, but everybody that is excited to participate in it and share it with their friends, we're responsible for this, because without it, they would focus on other things.
The one of the coolest little moments for me there is right at the beginning when Jared mentions the racing or whatever, right? And like a couple of them giggle and say, this is a hot topic around the office right now. Like that tells me like it's spread around. Conference room, freaking monitors playing the races and stuff like that. That's just
one more time.
So cool. It's so on the radar.
What do we do? One more time? Do we play it one more time?
I think we can move on, but we can. All
right.
Well, you can play the start of it one more time.
Oh, Sasha has decided. We're moving on. So we're talking often with CIG in our Discord, and see, you got everybody upset now. Everybody's upset. Your fault. Everybody blame him. Feedback to CIG is something we do in the Discord, right? We talked about this last. All right, everybody, this is the end of the show. I'm joking. For those listening in, Osasha's hit his webcam. He has left the room. So I'll do the show alone, no problem. In our Discord, CIG asked us, can you make a channel for feedback to CIG specifically? And sporadically, we will open a thread there for hot topics. We talked about the performance changes to 317, things like that. And there's a couple of things we're going to be talking about real soon. And if you want to be involved, you should do some homework into the subject and get prepping and make sure you've got some feedback ready. Make it constructive. It's not about whining. It's not about just complaining about the issue. It's about highlighting what you don't like and suggesting a better way to do it. We're going to be talking about Gravlev really soon. Gravlev is in a very poor state, I want to say. Very bad state. It needs love. And it's only been going downhill from 315? When did the new Gravlev stuff come out originally?
Yeah, maybe 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
either way, the last patch or two.
Yeah. Recently. it's not good. They're working on ground vehicle improvements for the wheeled vehicles right now, which I think is awesome. Definitely needed. As much as I love ground racing, I hate it in Star Citizen because the physics are just not fun, in my opinion. But Graflev, I'm not going to go into details now, because we'll do that in the feedback thread, and we can all give our opinion. We can, because there's a whole bunch of different opinions on how to do it the right way. I think a lot of us will agree that what we have right now isn't very nice. It bottoms out. It handles weird, bounces like crazy. Right now, if you go into the air, you lose all thruster control. It doesn't behave like any ship or ground vehicle. It's kind of sitting in the middle. Decoupled is broken, doesn't work. I understand they brought their new system with good intentions, but what do you think? Doesn't sit in a good place, right?
Yeah, in my mind, up until we had more issues with in-air control, I still think it was an improvement over what we had, but I don't think it was like necessarily the right direction to take it to get to the end game goal, which would be a really awesome system. So, yeah,
give me in a couple sentences, what would you like to see? How would you imagine Graflev work? How does it feel to you?
I would like it to not feel like it has invisible suspension, invisible wheels. It feels still very connected to the ground and kind of, hand wavium kind of way of trying to make it feel like a Graflev. Yeah. So in some way, shape, or form, if they can really make it feel like a floating thing that you could really catch some air with, maybe even do like short flights with, stuff like that, feel more like a hovercraft, like a futuristic like pod racer, right? Like look at Star Wars, something like that. More like that than feel like it does right now. I would be a lot more satisfied with it.
You're a motocross racer. You like airtime and jumping off stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you currently feel that's fun in Star Citizen in Graflev flying?
Before the issues with control in air, it was okay. Like I had some fun with it, right? Like I didn't absolutely hate it. So
you're way too positive right now. You're way too positive.
No, like I can see where they're going for it, and if they found a way to make that so I couldn't feel those fake imaginary wheels, right? If it was just gone.
But what about the
cranked up the damping on the suspension and stuff like that, so it was completely untied, and they didn't have the weird like sucking you down when you're coming back down, stuff like that. If they got rid of that kind of stuff, but still had that built on that system, I'd be very, very happy with it.
I told you all. The biggest thing he was being way too positive.
The biggest thing for me is cornering on these two, right? It's still very turn, whatever.
It's not
like, this is supposed to be like a bike, right? You should be leaning into the corners, and it even makes sense, right? Because you have your Graflev below it, right? So if you roll to the left, your Graflev kind of shooting out this way, helping you around the corners, right? Banking a corner. Like
what should be the main?
In my mind, would feel the best.
What should be the main thrust with a Graflev? MAVs and main thrust on the back of the Nox, for example, or the Graflev system itself?
100% the MAVs and the main thrust on the back. The Graflev, in my mind, should be just like the little
cushiony
magical magnetic field that's keeping it in a floating. That should be all that does. Yeah. Everything else should be thruster related.
So basically what you're saying is you want to be able to roll, which we can't do.
Yes.
And you want to be able to
impact the corners like it should.
Yeah, exactly.
Graflev shooting from below the vehicle. Yeah.
We're on the same page, and I have a whole essay typed and ready to send. We're waiting a few more days. Diplomat, I know, has strong opinions on the current state of Graflev. So does Data Machine and Steve, and there's a whole bunch more of you that would want to get in on that. So do some homework, prep what you think should be the right way to do it, and look for a new thread on the XGR Discord very soon. And know that CIG is reading along, because they do, and they really do appreciate it too. Dude, we've got 15 CIG devs in the Discord now. Can we brag a little?
It's incredible.
I mean,
so incredible. Dude, it's a brag on CIG for how awesome they are and how willing they are to jump in these communities where, they don't know if people are going to be kind of toxic or hostile towards them, right? So the fact that they're willing to go in there and maybe potentially take some heat, super props to them.
Hell yeah.
Although none of that is allowed, so keep that crap out of the XGR Discord, because we don't want to scare them away.
Doesn't mean you can't have criticism, right? I think
exactly.
I love, you consider it freedom of speech. Everybody should be able to say what they want, but on the other hand, we gotta not be negative.
We don't want to kiss their butts, but but we also want to be positive when we're giving them this, like giving solutions rather than just bitching about problems, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell them what we want to see rather than just say, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. That's not constructive. That's not useful.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. Well, I look forward to doing the thread and taking it from there. So you are our official expert of Alien Week.
Oh boy, we're in trouble then.
See, the thing is, I don't know a lot about it. I know you know more than me about it. I know you're looking forward to it. We briefly touched on it last podcast. Remind us all, what is Alien Week mean normally, and what are we expecting this year exactly?
Yeah, so I haven't seen a lot of like in stone, right? But at least last year we had basically a week-long event where they were releasing some, making basically all the alien ships up for purchase, doing some cool shows and skins and stuff like that with that as well too, and then also releasing some cool bits of like alien specific lore throughout the week. I'm told that this time around we're gonna have probably like a showroom, and there's rumors that we're gonna see maybe like the Banu Marchment exterior that we.
Where is all this coming from?
I've heard it on multiple podcasts now, so that's kind of where I'm getting it from. I don't have a source, right? So take this with a grain of salt. I don't have an original source from CIG, but that's what I'm hearing.
I love how this happens. You hear it here, you hear it there, but nobody actually knows where it's come from. I love it. That's awesome. Exactly. Star Citizen Live said it.
Oh, saying Star Citizen Live said it. Okay, cool, awesome.
Look how we hyper focus on the bits we like and we ignore all the other stuff. Okay, so so we're gonna get the Banu Merchantman. That thing's huge, right? Like huge. Well, what does it compare to?
Oh yeah. I think like a Carrack, right? Or even maybe a little bit bigger than a Carrack.
Bigger.
It's in that size of ship. It's not like capital ship size, but it's like big ship size.
Yeah, I thought it was bigger than a Carrack, like Reclaimer size.
Well, Carrack is pretty big. Like I don't know how much the Reclaimer is compared to the Carrack. Carrack's pretty huge. So.
I always get the ship sizes wrong, so yeah, nobody should listen to me. What's on stream right now, Asashas? What are we looking at?
He said Euro says BMM is larger than an 890, so maybe I'm way off because 890 is a lot bigger than a Carrack.
See, so. Reclaimer is gigantic, way bigger than the Carrack. There you go.
See. I'm the one mixing it up. Why am I the Alien Week expert?
Luigi is saying race direction, new headquarters, Banu Merchantman.
There we go.
I'd rather sit in a Carrack because it's got drone operator seats.
Well, maybe the Banu Merchantman will have like alien little zerglings you can send out for. I'm just
shaking my head. So what are we looking at on stream?
So we are looking at some skins for some of these alien ships, and the Nox, of course, which is an alien Gravlev. Very, very cool. There's another image right here that shows as well too. I think Maze has it as well. There's actually some red on here that you're not seeing as well too. So it's almost like a red, white, and blue.
I don't have it. Sorry,
we can see.
I don't have it prepped.
Oh, gotcha.
What's he holding?
Way, they're very, very sexy. So
what's the guy holding?
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me, because I heard you talking about somebody with that earlier, and I have no idea.
Right. So I didn't quite understand it, but it's Luigi that explained it to me. This is an item you get in game when you have a voucher or a card to something, which they'll also be handing out during Bar Citizen. That's a really vague description because I've got no clue what else to say about it. So we'll just leave it at that. And,
it's a Jedi holocron.
It does look like one, doesn't it? So I do have a few more pictures. Let's see. What have I got here? What are we looking at? I see a Talon with, is this what you meant? The red pinkish? Yeah. All right. So I've got a few lined up here. So here's a Talon. These are paint jobs. What? You buy these or you get these in...
Most of the, at least last year, they had some skins, I think, but they were purchasable right during the week. I don't think it was a freebie or anything.
Right. Yeah, no, I imagine that is true. And I wouldn't mind paying for these things either. I do really look forward to getting like in-game paint job stuff, to be quite honest.
Yeah. There is a little limited bit, right? But not much yet.
Yeah, not yet. No, I mean more like customization stuff that you can actually just choose colors. Maybe have like color 1, color 2, color 3, and then you can kind of customize give
Do
your
some
ships
accents, stuff like that. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
Ooh, you're a trucker with the details. 890 jump is 205 meters long. The Banu Merchantman, 232, so slightly longer, 20 meters, which is quite a lot.
That's a big boy.
It's like a tennis field longer, I think. And yeah, it's chunky. That is awesome. And it's such a weird shape too. It's a very Battlestar Galactica Cylons, I think.
Very much so.
On stream, we've got the Nox right now, and I do like these paint jobs. I wouldn't mind having these.
Yeah, I think they look pretty. And Steve in chat, Steve CC said, "Is Car 2 still bonkers fun to fly?" I don't know. Ask me in like a week when Alien Week drops, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm gonna get my hands on one for sure because I've wanted one forever. So.
Yeah, I still don't get it. Like, what are you gonna do with that thing? Like,
I might use it to film with. We'll see, because it's got a really open cockpit, like crazy, just like the whatever, right? And it has really ridiculous atmospheric handling. So we'll see. But either way, worst case scenario, I will hoon it about and have fun.
That is not a bad idea. Can you get me one too?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll ask you. We'll ask your wife. So that's it for Alien Week. Before we do wrap up today's podcast, is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything we missed out that you think we should talk about? Things you'd like to do in the next episode, post race 2?
I would like to tease something.
Tease away.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of call for an old school Pro-Am race, right? From a lot of our racers. So it's in the works, boys. So
yes. We announced it on Discord. There's no date. We need to confirm it. But it's gonna be good.
It's not just an idea at this point. It's coming.
It's happening. Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Splend, by the way, for contributing the very latest track to the XGR curriculum. We have now a race at Beijing Point, which is really cool. Very turn and burn. It's got some drifting in there. Again, a track where I feel like the M50 does really well, but Splend doesn't think so. So it's that typical what's best in zero G discussion. Yeah, so we're going, I can let more of the cat out of the bag because we put it in announcements. We are going Pro-Am racing at Beijing Blitz, as it's called, and Sharks R-Corp Rush Hour, because we haven't raced there yet. And I'm very stoked to go race there. And I hope you are too. On the Discord, you'll be able to get bragging rights as a reward in the shape and form of Discord roles. And it'll be good to get together for some racing that isn't just the Cup. So we'll make time for those and confirm the dates really soon. They're not on there yet.
Absolutely.
Do we have a website?
Yes, we do. So go to racexgr.com for all of your XGR informational needs.
Look how professional I did that, huh? So when we race for the Stanton Cup, do we stream it live?
Yeah, but I don't know where that is.
Well, it is on Twitch.
No idea.
And if you are listening live, then you're in the right place. If you are not listening live and you're listening this from Spotify, for example, you will need to go to twitch.tv/ExtremeG and you find links everywhere in the description of where you are listening this to. Beyond those,
or just go to racexgr.com and go to media, and the live stream is right there too. There you go.
Easy clap. Just go to racexgr.com. Then as well, we do have recaps, and I would implore you to go and watch these as well. We've got recaps. We will do those for every round, and it kind of gives you a recap of who did well in the individual races, what the scores are, championship updates, all of that's in the recaps. And on top of that, of course, here we are just discussing everything and mulling it over once more during a podcast. We need to get some guests on here too soon. It'll be really nice to get some of the top racers in here, talk to them, and get their perspective on where they stand with how it all works and what
I was actually going to talk to you about that soon anyway. So I'd say, yeah, probably expect something like that in episode 3.
Yeah, let's do it.
It'll definitely be fun to pick somebody else's brain besides these two idiots.
Hell yeah, exactly. All right. Well, with that said, I will thank the live audience for watching. Wow, what just happened? We lost my camera. Good timing.
Bye-bye, camera.
Yeah, good timing. Oh, there we are. Yeah, so I'll wrap it up here. And thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate all the live audiences as well, tuning in and watching. And if you're watching this after the fact, thank you for listening. And I hope we made your day a little better. Stay tuned for Stanton Cup Round 2 coming up very soon. XGP coming after that again. And I can't wait to chat with you. Wasashis, nice talking.
Yep. Thanks. 07, guys.